guys, in this segment we're going to talk about compensatory transitions from the classic wrestler's pin. We call them compensatory because we have to compensate for what he's done right. If he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, then we don't have to leave the wrestler's pin until we want to move on to another transition, say to move into mount or to submit. However, he's going to do what's right eventually, and we're going to have to compensate with that with a number of transitions. So to illustrate, we'll have your head right here. Slide up a speck more. As we talked about in previous sessions, whenever he gets his elbow to the ground, or at least starts to get it in between my hip and his rib cage and turn into me and form his frames, we have an issue. So, starting from classic pin, I've isolated his elbow and I've isolated his arm on this side by listening. Everything's going great until he gets his elbow to the mat. At this point, I want to scoop his elbow up by moving into Kesa quickly. Okay? From here, I'm able to stay in this position or move into the classic wrestler's pin again. So once more, he brings his elbow down to the ground. As quickly as possible, before he gets his elbow to the mat, I have to transition into Kesa. In this instance, if he gets his elbow to the mat at the same time he gets his forearm in my throat, I'm not going to move into Kesa, because if I do, he's going to push back on me and form his frame. In this case, if his elbow has gotten to the mat too quickly, or if he forms both frames at the same time, I'll go into knee on belly instead. But in most cases, I'll beat him to it. So as he goes to get his elbow to the ground, I'll scoop it. If he manages to get it to the ground here, I'll go into a north-south position, at which time I can slide back into Kesa on the other side and go back into my wrestler's pin. So once more, he brings his elbow down, I scoop it. If he gets it down again, I move into Kesa on the other side, and then back into wrestler's pin. I don't have to go into Kesa from here, but it's what I've chosen in this system. Okay, we all have to find a system, and we have to make it work for us. I could go to knee on belly if I wanted, like I had done previously, or I might go into the sprawling pin from here. Now, two other issues are going to arise when he gets an underhook on this side, or he gets an underhook on this side and spins out. In both those cases, I have to have an answer. I have to compensate for those movements. So, if he gets an underhook on the far side or on the same side, I'm going to do the same thing in both cases. I'm going to bring my right hand to his hip, and I'm going to bring my left hand over his neck. That way, when he gets his underhook and attempts to go to my back, I can spin to the other side and stay out of his range. Okay, so once more, if he manages to get an underhook on this side, go to the pant, around the head, and then I go to the other side. If he gets an underhook on this side and completely comes underneath my body, he's going to spin out. So I want to be ready for it. Again, I do the same thing. As he gets his underhook, I bring my right hand to his hip, my elbow across, and I can beat him on the other side. Sometimes, if he moves too quickly with this underhook, I'll have to come here and block his hip on this side and then pop his elbow out quickly, okay? So, those are the compensatory transitions from the classic wrestler's pin. In future segments, we're going to go over each of those positions separately and explain in a little bit more detail how and why we go into each position, how we can get back to the previous position, as well as our different submission options from each position. So I hope you'll continue to follow us, and if you have any questions, just shoot us a line. Thanks.